Ethiopia has one of the fastest growing urban populations in the world, with the number expected to reach more than 42 million by 2037. For Ethiopia to reach middle-income status over the next 10 years, an economically productive urban transformation will be essential.
After having a good significant progress on agriculture, the past, I think, 10 to 12 years time, the Ethiopian government balanced its focus relative to agriculture to the urban management, having urban development policy. There was a challenge, especially in institutionalization, the capacity implementation, capacity building. The critical problem, I can say that still the skill and the professional requisite qualification for urban management is still a problem. Even if this is a critical and a key problem, there are also financial shortage and housing problems, and there are other problems too.
According to the World Bank Group's Urbanization Review, in order for the sector to play a bigger role in the country's economic growth, it will have to be managed well, and special attention needs to be given to three key areas: job creation, addressing the infrastructure and service gap, and the housing challenge.
38% of the GDP is coming from the urban sector, basically from manufacturing industry as well as services in the urban areas. That's according to the Ethiopian Urbanization Review. So this is actually the labor force employed in urban areas is around 15%, 15%. So this contribution is from 50% of the labor force. So you can see how much the labor force is productive in the urban areas. Whereas in the rural areas, you have the rest of the labor force employed in the agricultural sector. But the contribution to the economy is not that much compared to what you have in the urban area. There is again a serious gap in infrastructure. Despite the government has done a lot in terms of different programs, in terms of increasing the infrastructure, there is still a major gap. Like arguably Addis Ababa, one of the most indoor cities in terms of, for instance, sewage, the coverage is only 10%. Similar in terms of electricity, water supply, there is a major gap. So that's another area where you have gap. Another area is housing. Both people without house and as well as people living with housing in bad condition. So these are three major areas.
In order to tackle these challenges, critical reforms to urban policy and institutions are needed in the areas of land, urban management, and financing. This will also require a strong partnership between federal, regional, and local governments, as well as adequate resources. Recommendations. The government of Ethiopia should reform the system of land management to ease administrative and fiscal burdens, free land for development, and promote efficient urban reforms. The government of Ethiopia should focus available financial resources on provision of land and infrastructure for low-income groups and slum upgrading. The government should also continue supporting affordable housing delivery. According to the Urbanization Review, giving urban local governments more autonomy and allowing them to determine their own structures, human resource needs, and building the capacity in planning, project execution, and financial management and procurement will lead to improved urban management. With less than 4% of total government spending allocated to urban development, there is a huge gap between the fiscal needs and resources of urban local governments. Therefore, the federal government should invest more in the sector while also giving local governments more control over rates of user fees and land lease.
The pillars and the milestones for urbanization, I think it is well articulated, and it was deepening our understanding of the urban issues and urban pillars and milestones. So the infrastructure issue, the finance issue, the finance, it was not a milestone and a pillar. We were bringing it to as one of the support and facilitation issue, but now we brought finance as a pillar and milestones for urbanization and urban management. So more articulation, structuring of issues, and more understanding and deepening of our understanding it has a lot of contributions in our GDP too, but mainly in land issue, it has a good and significant contribution.
The World Bank Group hopes that the Urbanization Review will help the government in leveraging the country's demographic dividend to promote economic growth, create jobs, and promote shared prosperity among Ethiopians.